of the University of Education, WINNEBA. And today we bring to our cherished listeners the 5th International Multi-Disciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students of the University of Education, WINNEBA, under the auspices of the Institute for Educational Research and Innovation Studies IRIS, the School of Graduate Studies, Center for International Programs, Center for Conflict, Human Rights and Peace Studies, Gender Mainstreaming Directorate, and the Office of the Dean of Student Affairs of the University of Education, WINNEBA. In the background is the university band from the Department of Music here at the University of Education, WINNEBA. And today we are expecting to have Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, the Minister for Education, gracing the occasion. Dr. Yao Osei Educhum is the guest of honor, and the guest speaker is Her Excellency Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Umar, the First Lady of Kano State in Nigeria. The keynote speaker is the Honorable Dr. Senator Ajman Rawlings, Member of Parliament for the Klote Kwali constituency in Accra. The program will soon start, and it is on the theme Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, the Role of the Postgraduate Student. I am Kwame Anamwa, and I am here with a team from Radio WINNEBA, and we are bringing you the proceedings on Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM, and we are also live on Facebook at Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM. You can also listen to us on www.uew.edu.gh.
Please, shall we be upstanding as we receive convocation? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Convocation is on its
Shall we be
way to
upstanding?
Jofus Anamwa Mensa Conference Center, the venue of the program. We have deans, directors, HODs, administrators, and we are also expecting to have the Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afubroni, Vice Chancellor of the University of Education here in WINNEBA. Remember, the program is the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference of the Postgraduate Student Association of the University of Education in WINNEBA. And the program is under the patronage of Professor Kolewale Rahim. He is the head of Center for School and Community Science and Technology Education Circles, and who is the chairman of the organizing committee, and Professor Samuel Asiedu Ado of the Department of Mathematics Education. He is the secretary. Other members include Professor George Kankam, the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, Professor Charles K. Asia, Vice Dean, Dr. Sechunebua, Center for Conflict, Human Rights and Peace Studies, Dr. Ephraim Kwa Edu, Director, ICT Services, and Mr. Samuel Ofori-Dankwa, a lecturer at the Department of Counseling Psychology and a former president of the Graduate Students Association of Ghana. So we have in our midst Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afubroni, Dr. Senator Ajman Rawlings. I can see Professor Andy Ofori-Brokran. I can see Professor Ruby Hansen. who is the Dean of the Faculty of Educational Studies. That was a beautiful rendition.
Good morning. While we're still standing, may we take the opening prayer, please?
Education of the University of Education.
Let us pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for the gathering of your people. We are the handiwork of yours. We can't do much without inviting you into our midst. And I thank you for the promise that whenever you call on your name, you will be here. Therefore, be with us even as we go through this international conference. Give us the retentive memory and allow us to learn from one another so that the benefit will be all ours. In the name of Jesus Christ do we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please have your seats.
So that was
You are welcome to the
chaplain,
Faith International Multidisciplinary Conference for
Reverend Dr.
postgraduate students
Alexander Edwards,
in the year
leading us in the
2021.
opening prayers.
And I would want to take this
So the guest
opportunity
or the
to once
keynote
again
speaker for today
draw
is
attention
the
to the
Honorable
need
Dr.
to
Zaneto
observe
Adman-Rollins,
social
Member of
distancing
Parliament
and at
for
all
the
times
Tertiary Conference
ensure your nose mask
of
is
the
on.
Greater Accra region.
Thank you very much.
And already she is in
I once
the
again
house.
would want to take opportunity to introduce our chairperson for this August occasion. We have in our midst none than our own Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afrobroni, PhD, the Vice Chancellor of our noble university, the University of Education, WINNEBA. Shall we welcome our VC? Vice Chancellor, please, you are welcome. We would want to take a few words of acknowledgement from you, sir. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education, ably represented by the Special Assistant for Tertiary Education in Ghana, the Honorable Dr. Zaneto Adman-Rollins, MP, Korle Klottey constituency, the Chief of Asamankasi, who is the father of our GRASAC president, the management team of the university, my colleague professors, other staff, the representative vice dean of graduate school, honorable student leaders, my dear students, conference participants, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The University of Education WINNEBA, established in September 1992 by an Act of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, Act 778, is among the top public universities that churn out competent teachers for our nation. For the records, we are the fastest growing, largest populated public university almost 10 years in a row. As part of our mandate, UEW offers a wide range of professional undergraduate and postgraduate programs. To successfully fulfill our mandate amidst the COVID-19 global pandemic and to help contribute to the reduction of the spread of the pandemic, our university, like many other institutions around the globe, has implemented and continues to implement a number of reforms and effective strategies. Apart from having put a COVID compliance team in place and observing the protocols, UEW is currently running a hybrid instructional and assessment system. Our university's College of Distance and E-Learning, CODEL, has been transformed to meet contemporary standards with the pandemic still hanging over our shoulders. In addition, efforts have been made to provide ample space to ease congestion for student activities with the construction of a multi-purpose student center, the first of its kind in the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this facility houses numerous student services, such as offices and conference halls for student-centered programs. There are seminar rooms, banking halls, office for finance, student services, restaurants, university radio station, offices for counseling, deans of student affairs, SRC, GRASAC, NUS, and a new TV station for the university. Therefore, students can sometimes have educational instructions even in the comfort of their homes, and thereby reducing human contact, which facilitates the spread of the pandemic. Our graduate school currently has a graduate lounge with internet connectivity where graduate students can access high-speed internet for effective research work. Distinguished guests, just a few days ago, the management team signed a contract with CDEC, a prominent contractor, and we cut sod for the construction of a modern 4-story multi-purpose School of Research and Graduate Studies building, which should be completed within 24 months. This is to demonstrate our commitment to what universities really do. Concentrating on what graduate schools do is what makes universities what universities should be standing for. As a large and progressive university, UEW is poised to producing professional educators and scholars to complement Ghana's efforts to achieve rapid economic and social development. Following this self-assurance, the university is currently collaborating with the Ghana National Council for Private Schools to run tailor-made degree programs to upscale the qualification of some 200,000 untrained private school teachers across the country to professional degree holders. This is to support the Education Ministry in its efforts to deliver quality education for the empowerment of the masses. We are hopeful that all these projections will come to a successful fruition with the augmentation of research output in this university. Our university runs a democratic governance system where teaching, non-teaching staff, and students at all levels are adequately represented at the decision-making tables. At this university, we believe that decisions should mirror the interests and aspirations of those involved. This is achieved by connecting people at the bottom of the university standing committees and the academic board subcommittees. These committees allow for diverse opinions on matters that eventually produce sound recommendations that are implemented for the achievement of the university's goal. You will bear with me, Chairperson, distinguished invited guests, that the postgraduate student is very much an integral member of any serious university such as ours. It is therefore not a mere coincidence that this year's conference has chosen the theme, Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, the Role of the Postgraduate Student. The university earnestly awaits the contributions from graduate students, professors, and others at this gathering to advance her efforts towards an all-inclusive developmental agenda that would drive the achievement of our institutional goals. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our honorable guests, let me reiterate that indeed a lot of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and perseverance have gone into the planning of this conference. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to salute Enoch and his team of very, very competent and hard-working people. Let's applaud them, please. To all those who are participating in this year's conference, I'm certain that UEW offers you the best ambience in this pandemic era. Fortunately, I have been part of this series, and this is the 5th. And I can assure you that this is the best of all that we have done from the beginning. Let me encourage you by saying that your contributions will broaden your research expertise and also enhance your personal status when you meet scholars from diverse backgrounds and disciplines. Let me also take the opportunity to welcome our guests, participants from other countries other than our nation. We welcome you and we encourage you to enjoy our beautiful scenery. I pray that by the end of this conference, the enthusiasm that drove your decision to share your research at this conference will be rewarded and your aspirations met. On this note, and on behalf of this great university, I wish humbly yet joyfully to officially welcome our special guests, Dr. Nkansa from the Ministry of Education, representing the Minister for Education, Her Excellency Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Umar, the First Lady of the Kano State, Nigeria, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, MP, Kole Klote Constituency, Ghana, and our guest speaker, and all dignitaries who have found time within their busy schedules to come and to grace this conference. I wish to acknowledge with outstanding gratitude the support offered by the moderators and to all who contributed immensely to making this conference a reality. May the good Lord richly bless you all. I wish all participants the best experiences of the conference, and I'd like to encourage you to familiarize with the modest infrastructure within this university and the WINNEBA community at large. While doing so, please remember to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Please wash your hands often. Please keep a decent social distance. Please sanitize your hands often and keep your face mask on. Once again, UEW welcomes you to the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for postgraduate students hosted here at this university. And now, by the powers invested in me as the Vice Chancellor, I'd like to declare this very important
Okay, we are thanking the performance. The performers, we are very grateful for the beautiful rendition. Let us clap for them as they assume their seats. So beautiful
So
it
that
was.
was a
We are very
performance
grateful to our
Department of Theatre Arts here
Department
at the
of
University of
Theatre Arts.
Education,
We say very
WINNEBA.
grateful. At this juncture,
And
I will take the single honor
before
to
the
introduce
performance was an address
our
by
keynote speaker,
Reverend Father Professor Anthony
who is in
Afobuni,
the
the Vice
person of
Chancellor.
Honorable
The Vice Chancellor told us
Senator
that
Ajimara
UW
Rawlings,
is the #1
MP
growing,
for
fastest
Klote
growing
Kwale
public
constituency
university in
of the
Ghana
Republic of Ghana.
for
Shall
10
we
years
welcome
running.
her? Madam,
He so tells us that
thank you for coming.
the university has been following all the COVID-19 protocols and to ensure that no student or staff of the university contract the disease. And as a result, there are spaces to ease congestion. Now it's time for the presentation by Honorable Dr. Senator Ajimara Rawlings, the Member of Parliament for Klote Kwale, who is the guest speaker.
The very Reverend Professor Anthony Brony, Dr. Eric Nkansa, representative of the Minister for the Education, the Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Education Finance Minister Officer, and Nana with your delegation, Chief of Asamankasi, the teaching staff, and all the students and non-teaching staff here present. I stand on previous protocols, and I thank you for this invitation. I'm honored to be here in the presence of those who have been and will be responsible for molding our citizens and leaders. I would like to congratulate the leadership of this institution, as well as the students, for the amazing turnout. Your university campus is clean and it's green. And if I may permit me, your bathrooms are clean. That says a lot. I was very happy to hear about the upgrade of about 200,000 teachers, because I think for far too long we have not regarded with the level of respect and importance the value of teachers in our society. The high transmissibility of the COVID-19 virus has forced us since last year to change our way of life. Schools were shut down, people lost time on their academic year, on their school performance, and as we all know, there's nothing like that in-person interaction when it comes to teaching and learning. We were forced to improve on our ways of using technology in teaching, in learning, and lecturers were forced to learn how to read other signs besides simply body language on whether your students are understanding what you're saying or not. I recall during the lead up to the election last year, during the lockdown and afterwards, encountering a lot of postgraduate students in various parts of my constituency who had organized classes for a lot of the children in the communities because the schools had been shut down. Now, I mention this because when we're talking about the value of postgraduate students within the context of good education at a time like this, that ability to translate what you know by being able to teach somebody else is key. So as you spend time here, and as you're learning what it is that you're meant to teach, the method by which you can teach is important as well. Because I'm sure, as you all know, As you teach, you discover that people have different learning styles. And as a teacher or as a lecturer, your ability to recognize the styles that your students or your class have, and to be able to modify your teaching skills so that they all can benefit, or as much as possible, people don't fall on the wayside, makes you different from the next person. And so as you go through the school, take in as much as you possibly can. Do not narrow yourself down to what is only your field of expertise. The more you know, the better your ability to reach out of where you find yourself. Because as the pandemic has taught us, the more adaptable you are, the more agile you are, the greater your ability to survive and to thrive. And if this is anything to go by, it is something that should teach us that life is not black and white, and there is no manual that prepares us adequately, because things will come up, and our ability to adapt, to adjust to situations, that is all part of your education. The president has directed that all schools must go back. So we're all at full capacity and we're all back. But it does not change the fact that at some point, something else could come up. And we're not hoping for it to do so, but we must maximize the time that we have in learning, in teaching, in networking, in getting to know one another, so that whenever we find ourselves in a crisis situation, we're able to reach out to one another, not as strangers or just as mere colleagues, but as friends. If there's one thing that we learned about this period under the pandemic and under lockdown and various restrictions that were put in place, it was the importance of a society's ability to network. That friendship, that ability to help one another and reach out to one another became ever so important. And we must not lose that going forward. Regarding the pandemic, there are still questions regarding why we find so many asymptomatic cases in Ghana compared to other places. And that's something that our scientists need to take a little bit more interest in. But that also stems from our policies and our paradigm as a nation, and the value we put on research, the value we put on teaching. Postgraduate implies having completed some level of study already and coming to do some more. The objective of tertiary level education is to expand your horizons, to deepen your knowledge, to help you with your critical thinking, to be able to prepare you as you help mold our nation builders. And all of these are to get people to be people who will work in the public service, in the armed forces, not limited to, but including, whether it's an agric, but then of course the most noble of all, or one of the most, teaching. Perhaps teachers are not being good enough ambassadors of themselves, because no country can move forward without a sound education. If your citizens are not well educated, it's difficult to make them understand why certain policies are important. So your role as those who are imparting knowledge is so crucial. And your ability to teach those who you will be imparting knowledge to how to think critically, how to be more patriotic, is so key. Because one of the reasons why we find ourselves where we are today as a nation is because there's a gap between our socialization, what we had as our traditional rites of passage, and our education. So there's this gap which nobody is really taking up, because now the rites of passage that the young women and young men, when they reached puberty or the adolescent age, had to go through, where they would have to spend, the boys would spend time with the men, or the women with the young girls, and they would teach them certain skills in life, which would include how to groom themselves and their attitude towards their community and that sense of belonging. As we have progressed with education, we seem to have left a bit of that behind, but no nation can truly develop sustainably if it leaves behind its identity. And so you have a big task now, to take on board a little bit of that in terms of how we prepare our young people. And it's not only about the ability to read and write, but it's also about the holistic education, critical thinking, what it means to be a citizen, and what belonging to a community, belonging to a country means. If we're talking about education, under the 1992 Constitution, Article 25(1) tells us that all persons have the right to equal educational opportunities and facilities with a view of achieving the full realization of that right. What you're doing here is enshrined in this Constitution of ours. It's not political talk, it's not partisanship, and it's not propaganda. This is where the real work happens. But the value of what we offer then depends on how much we're willing to dedicate ourselves to taking on the knowledge, not only what's in our books, but beyond that, so that in any given circumstances, no matter which subject you're teaching, wherever you find yourself, you are a pillar of knowledge. You can be a guiding force for the younger people. If today we're looking at the youth as a threat to our national security, perhaps it's because our generation hasn't done enough to ensure that they are a force of building our nation. So we must do more. I don't believe that hope is lost. I think the fact that we're able to sit in this room today and have a conversation about quality of education tells us that we know we can do better. The fact that we have a campus of this caliber, where you have, I think, nationwide over 75,000 students, that says a lot. It means that the quality that University of Education WINNEBA is offering is of such a high caliber that people know that if you want that value, this is where you should be. So with all due respect, if you find yourself here, as much as it is a right, it is also a privilege. Please make the most of it. Because now, when you leave this institution, you carry with you the name. You must protect the name. You must ensure that in whatever you do, you put the best foot forward of this university, and that is in what you will be doing as you go forward, how you conduct yourself as a teacher, how you're able to impart your knowledge to your students and your pupils. All of these are so important. And as I look into this crowd, I know I'm not speaking to people who don't know what they're about. You're here because you know the value of this school, this university. You know what it presents. And so as you go out, be good ambassadors. Be good ambassadors for the teaching profession. It is noble. No nation can develop without very good education. No nation can develop without the teachers adequately preparing and molding its citizens and its leaders to be. I'm hoping that more and more the emphasis on the level of experience and expertise that we have for those who are teaching the younger ones at the kindergarten level should become a very, very serious priority, because that is the foundation. When the foundation is weak, everything else that's built on it is not as strong as it ought to be. The discussion on the remuneration of teachers is one that is constantly talked about, but perhaps we're not dealing with it well enough. Unfortunately, it becomes a partisan issue at some point. It becomes a political issue, which it is in many ways. But fundamentally, it is about ensuring that those who are building the foundations of our nation know that we value them as a nation, that the country actually values them. We would not be here if you didn't give us what we have. My foundation was because I had teachers. I did not wake up with the knowledge I have today, whether it was through kindergarten or primary school, through JSS, SSS, or university. I was just speaking to Reverend Prof, and I was telling him that I went to medical school because he was saying how WINNEBA is full of students. You can't go 100 meters without meeting a student. And I was explaining to him that I went to Dublin for my medical school, and when you have a town or a city that has the influence that you have so many students, it changes everything about that place. It should have an impact. You have made WINNEBA a big deal. Not that it wasn't before, but you have really added value. And so when people hear WINNEBA, they think about education. And so it should be. And it should reflect in the community as well. I don't know if you have voluntary days where some of your staff go into the community, but if you don't have that as yet, I would highly recommend that, because sometimes the volunteering is what helps young people see that there is something beautiful in teaching. And then they can have that first impression of meeting you outside of a school unit specifically, but understanding that there is this amazing profession, which is what you do. Your ability to be agile as teachers, your ability to collaborate given the few resources you have, understanding what your vision is so crucial. Creativity is important. There are times when what you need is not there, but your ability to be creative is what will help you to capture the imagination of your students and your pupils. Make use of all your faculties. That is what makes you a beautiful teacher. That is what makes you amazing. I remember when I was in JSS, we had a teacher called Mrs. Amatia Ma. And by the time she was done with us, I think we all knew the student's companion in first aid in English, because she had this way of doing this, she used to call, I can't remember what she called it, but she would go around the class, and it was like a speed thing, and we'll go around, and she'd tell you which page she was going to tackle the following week, and we all had to do it, because you didn't know whether you'd be rearranged in the class to learn what it is that you had to do and recite it. So just to make sure you didn't embarrass yourself, you made an effort. Let's help our young people understand that education is not just about the certificate. It's beyond that. The quality of what you're studying is important. And so as you go about what you do here, your role, you can only impart what you have. Let's make the most of the facilities you have. You have your libraries, you have access to the online facilities. Make the most of that while you can. This is the best opportunity for you. Right now, it's all about how to be creative and innovative and make sure that you're co-creating with your students, because sometimes we learn from those that we teach, and it's an ongoing activity. Let us allow the young ones who we're teaching to thrive. Let them ask their questions. No question is a foolish question. Give them that opportunity to build their confidence and their self-esteem. Sometimes the only educated person a child will meet in their life is their teacher. And if you can give them that self-esteem, that confidence, and the value system, the principles that they will need, so that when they become leaders in society, the money that is meant for your remuneration, the money that is meant for your education is channeled to you and not into their pockets. All of these are important because of the values that we teach them. So, Nananom, as you have your role traditionally, let us see how the things that our young ones can't learn from you nowadays, the teachers can take that up as well, so that we close this gap between our culture and our education. And stop thinking that becoming educated means leaving all our culture and traditions behind. There are very good things in our traditions, there are good things in our culture that we must hold on to and inculcate into our education. That is what makes us unique. That is why we can look at China and say China has achieved this, or India has achieved that, or Singapore has achieved this or that. The reason is they understand the value of a hybrid system between what they have as their cultural beliefs, as their tradition, and the education that is modern. And being able to blend that towards the vision of what you want your nation to be is where we want Ghana to be as well. Let's remember who we are as Ghanaians. Let's bring the best of our various cultures together. Incorporate that with the education. And as we move forward, let's make the best of what we have to ensure that whether there's a pandemic or not, be it COVID or any other, we can still impart the best of the knowledge that we have towards the younger ones in our society. Thank you so very much. I must apologize that I must take leave of you because as a member of the Defense and Interior Committee, I'm the deputy ranking, and the Speaker has directed that we go to WA to deal with the issue that has been making the news, and we leave today. So I must beg your pardon and apologize that I must leave very shortly. I thank you so very much for this opportunity, and I do hope to come back again sometime soon. Congratulations to all of you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Madam. Please kindly remain standing for us as we... Hello, Doctor. Please, Honorable, just a moment. Honorable, please, just a moment. Before you sit down, we have a little citation to present to you by our Vice-Chancellor. So kindly receive it on behalf of GRASAC and the University of Education. Yes. So we present this citation to Dr. Zanetor Ajiman-Rawlings for her enormous contribution to the developments of her community and the Republic of Ghana. Thank you, Madam, for coming. We are grateful. Thank you, sir, for accepting. Yes. Okay, so on this call, as she did announce, she'll be taking leave of us in the next few minutes. And so if you see her exit, then she's duly giving her due to this August program. Thank you very much. On this call, we call on the music department to give us a musical interlude as we usher her out of the auditorium. Thank you very much.
That was the Member of Parliament for Clote Pole in the Tertiary, Dr. Zanetor Ajiman-Rawlings, who is the keynote speaker for this 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for postgraduate students here at the University of Education, WINNEBA. She first began by congratulating the university for ensuring a clean and a green environment. She said, tertiary education is for deep and critical thinking, and people who pass through tertiary education are expected to contribute to national development. He said there is a big gap between socialization and education which needs to be addressed to ensure that people who go through school are not left half-baked. She also tells us that teachers at the foundation level, the kindergarten, the crèche, are critical in education and must be given the needed resource to ensure that they are able to touch these younger ones to leave a lasting impression on them. She also tells us that salaries of teachers need not be politicized because teachers do a wonderful job in training the manpower for this country, and therefore need to be resourced to ensure they give up their best in the training of the human power of this country. He said education is not about certificate, and that there is a lot to education. Going to school shouldn't mean that you are only seeking a certificate to work, but you should learn a lot to be able to influence national decision and policies. She said, students, be innovative in all ways to be able to address many challenges that confront us as a nation. You are still live on Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM. We are also coming to you on Facebook at Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM, where today we are bringing you a live broadcast from the Geoffrey Anamwa Minister Conference Center here at the North Campus of the University of Education, WINNEBA, for the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference.
Thank you very
of
much,
the
Department of
Postgraduate Students of the University of Education, WINNEBA. In the background was a rendition of Oye by a student from the Department of Music Education of the University of Education, WINNEBA. It's now the turn of the GRASAC President, Enoch Ansa, to give us his opening address.
Building on existing protocols, I extend warm greetings from the Local Executive Committee of GRASAC UW and the Planning Committee of the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students, which is themed Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, the Role of the Postgraduate Students. The person who thinks he knows everything has a lot to learn. Thomas A. Edison made the comments, "We do not know 1 millionth part of 1% about anything. We do not know what water is. We do not know what light is. We do not know what gravity is. We do not know anything about magnetism. We have a lot of hypotheses, but that is all. Wisdom is making the best use of knowledge, develop the ability of discernment. The effective leader has the insight needed for any given situation. The local executive committee, together with the planning committee and the School of Graduate Studies for the 2020-20 academic year, came together and sought for the need to organize the 5th session of our enviable International Multidisciplinary Conference for postgraduate students, which could not happen last year due to the emergence of the deadly pandemic. Insight, we believe, is penetration into character or circumstances with understanding. The team consulted widely, ranging from the university top management team, professors, deans, past GRASAC presidents, and past student leaders to know how feasible the 5th session of the conference could be held in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. We finally agreed to have using the hybrid mode, which shall make provision for both face-to-face and true virtual presentations. The committee met not less than 15 times in Ghana and also traveled outside Ghana to invite other personalities to making sure the conference sees the light of the day. Lombardi knew that if you wanted something in life, you had to plan for it, prepare yourself for it, and then most importantly, you have to go for it. There's an old saying that 1,000 wishes do not fill a bucket with fishes. Thinking and feeling do not produce action. Only action produces thinking and feeling. Mark Twain put it in this way: tender is good. Tender is impressive, but it is the lightning that gets the job done. I salute the Vice Chancellor, the Dean and the Vice Dean of School of Graduate Studies, the Dean and Vice Deans of Student Affairs, the University Management, and the Principal of Ejumaku, and all senior and junior members of the IMCFPS at UW 2022. The local executive committee of GRASAC UW and all past GRASAC presidents, and especially Mr. Ofori Dankwa, who is the MC for today, whose vision gave birth to the conference, the experiences, contributions, advice, directions, have made it possible for this year's conference. To my colleagues, students, and senators, life is about 20% what happens to us and 80% in the way we respond to events. Let us use this year's conference as an opportunity to better equip ourselves for an academic endeavor. Ted Engstrom wrote with insight: cripple him and you have Sir Walter Scott. Lock him in prison cell and you have George Washington. Raise him in abject poverty and you have an Abraham Lincoln. Strike him down with infantile paralysis and he becomes Franklin Roosevelt. Bend him so severely that doctors will say he can never walk again. And you have in Gunningham, who set the world's 1-mile record in 1934. Defend him and you have Van Beethoven. Have him or her born black in society filled with racial discrimination, and you have a Booker T. Washington, a Mariam Anderson, a George Washington Carver, Barack Obama. Call him a slow learner, retarded, and write him off as an uneducable, and you have Albert Einstein. Let us believe in ourselves, believe in our passion, believe in our dreams, and trust in the good Lord Almighty that at all times he shall make us great. On this note, I welcome everyone to the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students. Long live GRASAC UW, long live UW, long live Ghana and our continent. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Long live the University of Education, long live Ghana. Thank you very much, Mr. Inokansa, for that beautiful address you have shared with us. I would want to take this opportunity to announce that we are live on Facebook and on Radio WINNEBA 98.3 megahertz, our campus radio station. We are crystal and we are clear. Also live on Radio WINNEBA on Facebook. Just go in there and then you will see us there. Thanks. We would want to take opportunity to invite Dr. Eric Nkansa. He represents the Minister for Education. Shall we welcome him?
Prof. Chairman, Reverend Father Professor Afro-Bruni, Vice Chancellor of University of Education, WINNEBA, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Andy Ofori Briquine, Honorable Zeneto has just left us, the Dean of School of Graduate Studies, Professor George Kankam, the Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Ernest Akwesi Amponsa, Nananom, Deans and Directors present, distinguished delegates and participants, our friends from the media, students, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I bring you warm greetings from the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Aduchum, the Minister of Education. The Minister of Education would have loved to join us this morning for this momentous occasion, but he had to attend to other equally important national assignments that made it practically impossible for him to be here with us. I am thus reading this speech on his behalf. Prof. Chair, I am profoundly honored to be present here today and take part in this year's International Multi-Disciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students, hosted by the Graduate Students Association of Ghana, GRASAC, here at the University of Education, WINNEBA, on the theme, Quality Education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, the role of the postgraduate student. I'm indeed grateful to the management of this university and the organizers of this conference for this invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has hit several countries across the globe very, very hard, resulting in countless alterations of our way of life and compelling us to adapt to the changing times constantly. Ghana, like any other country, has not been spared from the impact of this pandemic. The educational sector is one of the hardest hit across the globe. In response, the government has instituted several alternatives and innovative pedagogical reforms. For instance, universities have resorted to hybrid modes of instruction and assessment as a way of adapting to the throes of the pandemic. Also, in education, research is one of the arms that has taken a heavy impact from the pandemic. Travel restrictions alone mean that human contact and flexible relations often courted for effective research networking during intellectual meetings have to be substituted with virtual meetings with little or no human interaction. This notwithstanding, it has been a prudent measure for education and research institutions to adopt such alternatives to sustain the system amid the COVID challenges. Prof. Chair, one cannot underestimate the importance of academic conferences in education and research. It is an avenue where people or students learn new things and get their scholarly ideas marketed and critiqued constructively for national development. On this note, Prof. Chair, permit me to commend the University of Education, Grassac, University of Education, WINNEBA, Grassac, for successfully organizing this academic conference despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Chair, I would like to highlight some significance of conferences of this nature to students and early career researchers. To begin with, many students have anxieties in asking questions and presenting ideas to unfamiliar people in a gathering. Such academic conferences offer an ideal environment for overcoming these anxieties. At such conferences, it is understood that participants and presenters are gathered for the same reason of sharing ideas and generating thoughts. Attending conferences allow researchers to meet professionals in similar domains of research. This is where one meets more advanced researchers as well as established senior professionals and scholars. Listening to the presentations can open up new ways of thinking about a specific topic, including new methodology approaches. Post-conference times are usually interactional, especially because one gets the opportunity to speak to the presenters in person, ask for opinions and advice, sometimes contact for further discussions. At conferences, you get to meet like-minded colleagues who share your passion and interest, and as well as people who are researching your field of study. I therefore urge you to take advantage of this conference and make new friends, build healthy relationships that will travel beyond this period. Conferences such as this, Prof. Chair, gives students and early career researchers innovative ideas and spark interest in certain areas of discovery. Most scholars test their ideas by putting them out to the audience for critical responses. Through such fora, one gets to learn groundbreaking theories and discoveries on a subject which are unlikely to be found in existing publications. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that higher education and academic research remain a priority for the government and will continue to invest in creating conditions for robust, knowledge-based economy. The passage of the National Research Fund bill into law by Parliament last year to support and promote R&D activities in the country is a testament to the government efforts in developing the research capacity of academia. This fund will promote human capital development, support basic and applied research, and support innovation and technology development and transfer activities in priority economic sectors. The fund will be used to make Ghana innovative and competitive in the world. One of the critical challenges usually faced by Ghanaian researchers and academics, particularly young researchers, is having access to research funding. Most global research funders set out criteria that make it challenging for young scientists from developing countries to receive funding to carry out research, which usually may be locally relevant. The NRF, which is the National Research Fund, will provide support to early career researchers and academics. Let me assure you that the Ministry of Education will soon launch and operationalize the National Research Fund. We will continue to work with relevant stakeholders for its implementation. Prof. Chair, Ghana's gross tertiary enrollment ratio currently stands at 18.84%, which significantly falls short of the target of 25%, which was envisaged by the Education Strategic Plan. This has a significant effect on the production of a quality workforce and Ghana's GDP growth. A study conducted by an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, in 2012 concluded that 60% of GDP in France, Norway, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom is contributed by those who have acquired some form of tertiary education. As of 2012, Prof. Chair, these countries had the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of over 55% on the average. Thus, high gross tertiary enrollment ratio is a critical driver in the socio-economic transformation in any country. At the last of the nation address, His Excellency, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, underscored the government's commitment to increase the gross tertiary enrollment ratio from 18.84% to 40% by 2030. The free senior high school and the revitalization of the complementary education in Ghana will curate a pipeline of students in this pursuit. The government will continue to work with tertiary education authorities to expand infrastructure to accommodate these large numbers. In addition, Chair, the Ministry of Education has made significant progress in establishing Open University Ghana, which will complement the efforts of the existing universities in Ghana. Prof. Chair, the Ministry of Education is repositioning the entire educational system to produce a critical mass of assertive and empowered Ghanaian students, equipped with the essential skills for socio-economic transformation. These essential skills require to fully participate in the fourth industrial revolution in the 21st century include critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration, also known as the 4 C's. Our educational systems, the educational systems repositioning would be achieved through a robust whole school reform anchored on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. STEM education is high on the government's agenda and is putting in place measures to increase the study of science and also to increase the science to humanities ratio from the current position of 40 to 60 to 60-40 in favor of sciences. Researchers in STEM-related fields are changing the face of the world every day by discovering life-saving drugs. An example is the vaccines for COVID-19, and devices or even creating new technologies that keep us healthier, safer, and even entertain us. Therefore, we encourage the academic community to promote the study of STEM-related fields and also the early career researchers to take interest in studying the STEM-related fields. In conclusion, Prof. Chair, I want to thank GRASAC, University of Education, WINNEBA, once again for inviting me to this conference and encourage participants and presenters to maximize the opportunities that this conference offers. I wish you all the best. I thank you for your attention. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkansa, for delivering on behalf of our minister. give it up to the Department of Education, WINNEBA. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was the Department of Theatre Arts, and we say we are grateful. We are on Facebook and on Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM, our campus radio station. Join us there and be part of this wonderful occasion. I would want to take opportunity to introduce a couple of guests who are with us. Mr. Chairman, kindly permit me to do so. Thank you very much, sir. We have in our midst Dr. Emmanuel M.J. Tamanja from IRIS. We have Dr. Robert Gane, Acting Director, Center for Conflict, Human Rights and Peace Studies. Madam Katumi Comfort Madam, Graduate Coordinator, Faculty of Home Economics Education. Professor Sakina Kwa, HOD, Department of Basic Education. Madam Lani Ashon, HOD, Integrated Home Economics. Rosemary Kwaku, HOD, Clothing and Textiles Education. Professor Brahima, Dean, School of Business. Professor Aswa, Vice Dean, School of Graduate Studies. Professor Kola Rahim Wale, Chairman, Steering Committee of the Conference. Professor Siedu Ado, Department of Mathematics. Madam Hatwell Tamakolo, National GRASAC President. Dr. Christian Hammond, Faculty of Foreign Languages and Communication. Dr. Mavis Amumensa, Institutional Advancement. We have Professor Samuel Hayford, Dean, Faculty of Educational Studies. Professor Michael J. Nabi, HOD, Mathematics Education. Professor Phyllis Foster, Dean, Faculty, Home Economics Education. Professor Emmanuel Obedakwa, Director, Quality Assurance, UW. Dr. Patrick de Graft Youngson, Dean, School of Creative Arts. Reverend Dr. Alexander Edwards, University Chaplain, UW. Dr. Yaira Jagadzi, HOD, Early Childhood Education. Not least, Dr. Peter Akuiri, HOD, IRIS. So in due course, as we take notice, we would announce same with all protocols observed. Thank you very much. And so I also want to introduce Berima Pobi Esuman II, happens to be the father of our GRASAC president, Nana Ohene Asamoah, linguist, accompanying Nana, and Mrs. Emma Ansa, mother to our president. They came to grace this wonderful occasion. Aren't that beautiful? Let us appreciate them as they are here with us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We also want to take an opportunity to invite our Pro-Vice Chancellor to present a citation in honor of our guest speaker, whose rep is here to receive it on his behalf. Thank you very much, Prof, for doing us the honors. We are very grateful, Professor Oferibrikwan. We take this opportunity, I love opportunities, to invite our GRASAC National President, none than our own, Madam Hartwell, former GRASAC President, UW, immediate past, to give us her address. Thank you very much, Madam, and welcome.
Mr. Chairman, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Education, WINNEBA, Very Reverend Professor Anthony Afro-Bruni, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the rep of the Minister of Education, deans, directors, Nananom, the planning committee of this conference, the GRASAC executives, all protocols observed. I bring you a warm felicitation and congratulations from the Graduate Students Association of Ghana National Secretariat. Indeed, it is an honor to have this privilege to be associated with this important event, the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference of the Postgraduate Students. I am so delighted to be here this morning because this 5th conference should have been organized by me, but because of COVID-19, I couldn't do this. But I am very grateful that I have the opportunity to be here this morning, not as the local president, but as the national GRASAC president. Mr. Chairman, my administration is full of pride, recognizing that one of our member institutions, University of Education, WINNEBA, is leading the way in research dissemination, especially with the organization of this multidisciplinary conference for postgraduate students across Ghana and beyond. We would therefore wish to urge other member institutions whose research conferences are restricted to their campuses to open up for international participation, and those member institutions who are yet to organize their research conferences to emulate this shining pace being set by GRASAC UEW. I wish to bring to the attention of the conference that, as partners in research and practice for national development, GRASAC has been able to set up a graduate research trust fund. This fund was launched in November last year. The board of directors for the fund had been constituted and other necessary structures have been put in place. In a short while, we will be enrolling this trust fund for all students to take part. Quality education is very critical for the growth and development of every nation. It is fundamental to human rights and it is indispensable for the attainment of sustainable development. Hence, the need for effective research implementation for the realization of quality education for national development. This will also serve as a special vehicle for attaining the Sustainable Development Goal, otherwise known as the Global Goal for Blueprints, to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all people and the world by 2030. Particularly, Goal 4, which has to do with the inclusive and equitable quality education and the promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all. We wish to also call on government, the tertiary community, other private and global players in the education sector to ensure that new ideas and services are properly disseminated and applied through network and linkage for national development. It is considered opinion of GRASAC that there should be a paradigm shift from just shelving research works for the purpose of references to a more practical and innovative approach in the implementation of knowledge and ideas for research work that leads to national cohesion and development, especially with the blazing COVID-19 pandemic in sight. It is against this background that I strongly consider this year's theme for the conference, Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19, the role of the postgraduate student to be a very appropriate and suitable to present circumstances. It is undeniable fact that conferences of this sort require a lot of research and commitment to make them see the light of day. Mr. Chairman, kindly permit me to conclude by extending a sincere appreciation to GRASAG UEW, the university authorities, for another landmark international conference. We are very grateful. We wish all participants fruitful and successful deliberation. Long live graduate studies, long live GRASAG UEW, long live GRASAG National, and long live Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Tamakulo, for the presentation. Mr. Chair, I will take your indulgence, I'll crave your indulgence to announce in our midst the GRASAG president for UDS. He's in our midst, traveled all the way from Tamale to join us in this conference. We say welcome, and we will teach you a lot. Thank you. Okay, welcome, sir. We are grateful. At this note, I would want to make a few announcements, and then we'll take the chairperson's closing remarks. And it goes as we'd want to show our appreciation to the 5th IMC FPS conference. The chairmanship is of Professor Kulawale Rahim, Professor Samuel Siedu. We are showing our gratitude to these honorable men, and also to Professor George Kankam, Dean of School of Graduate Studies, Professor Charles K. Asua, Vice Dean. They've been very remarkable. We thank Dr. Seth Chinibua from Shraps, Dr. Ephraim Kwaidu, Director IT Services UEW. Well, I did not mention my name. My name is here, Samuel Faridankwa. And then we have Mr. Stephen Achiang, Lecturer, Department of Graphic Design, ex-president. We have Ms. Eva Annan, Director, Gender Mainstreaming Directorate. We are very grateful. Mr. Bernardo Marco Mensah, Assistant Lecturer, Department of Counseling Psychology, ex-Treasurer, GRASAG 2016. Madam Hartwell Selassie Tamakulo, former President and also National GRASAG President 2021. All executives of GRASAG UEW Local, we want to say thank you to you all and say God bless you. And also, for all the presenters, please kindly go to page 29 for the presentation slots. You find them there, and then you acknowledge same. If you have challenges, kindly meet us at the registration table and we'll assist you. We also have Dr. Odetiti in our midst, and we also want to acknowledge him as well. We have facilitators being informed to humbly wait behind after this session for a quick meeting. Thank you for taking these notices. Mr. Chair, Reverend Professor, please, would draw your attention for your remarks.
Thank you very much, MC. Nananum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to be part of this very impressive 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students 2021. I have indeed been to several international conferences locally and abroad, but I want to repeat that this is one of the most impressive and excellently organized, and for that reason I want to salute the organizers for good job done, powerful collaboration and networking. Let me congratulate this leadership. Enoch, is that type? Enoch, yes, please applaud this gentleman. And of course, and his team. I really enjoy this, what I'm seeing here. The fact that this beautiful idea started in 2015, and the fact that successive leadership of GRASAG have continued in the tradition, and so none has abandoned it, to be able to celebrate the fifth one in succession, not counting COVID. But even that is well done, because the one who was supposed to have organized and brazen through the COVID is now the national president of GRASAG. For the sake of those who may not know, Ms. Tamaklo is a student of this university. So UEW is at the it's a student. I'm saying all of these things to express gratitude of this great university to the His Excellency the President of the Republic, and to the Minister, Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, for sending Dr. Nkansa to ably represent him here. And I'm enjoying the assurances of support from government in their commitment to education by establishing the research fund. And I am also very, very impressed. It was enjoyable. I'm sure you all enjoyed just watching and listening to the beautiful lady, Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajaman Rollins. Please let her hear that I have admired her, and I'm glad that she has promised to come back. And I don't see this as one of those political talks. She is a politician, but she doesn't sound like a politician. She sounds more like an academic. Of course, Provici and I followed her to her car, and she repeated and even said some other things that made me convinced that she really, really has fallen in love with UEW, and I'm looking forward to her coming back again and doing something at the national level for recognition of the contribution of this university to the nation, and in fact, internationally. I want to congratulate and thank the professors and other senior members for their passionate mentorship of the student leaders. What is so beautiful about these guys and these ladies is that the leadership keeps expanding, because the ones who started it and continued nobody has left. So it looks like every year there's going to be an additional set of leadership joining to the planning committee, which is so beautiful. I don't think this is something that we want to take for granted. I want to urge the conference participants to take this very seriously. This is the beginning of academia. And do not take this for granted that this is going on in every university. It is something that is very unique, and so I commend you for that. I want to remind you, just in case you are not sure, you are the tomorrows of this university. You are the tomorrow. Did you hear what I said? I said you are the tomorrows of this great university. About 2 years ago or so, we had a matriculation on the Anamwa Mensa car park, where we erected huge canopies, and on that day, as I was speaking, it just dawned on me that I should try something, and I did. And I was encouraging the students and assuring them that not too long from there, they were going to be seated where we, the academics or the staff, were seated. And then I said, let me just try for you to know that what I'm saying is true. Let all those lecturers and professors and other people sitting at the days who came through UEW, please rise. Do you remember that? And we got about 70 or 80% of the lecturers at that time. Don't you want to applaud? And you see, I am not talking about inbreeding. I'm not talking about inbreeding at all. I'm not talking about, there are a few exceptions of somebody doing first degree, second degree, PhD, but most, and I've done the demographics, most of the people that call themselves alumni of UEW who were standing up were people who had done first degree and gone out to do second degree and PhD, or done first degree and second degree and gone out to do a PhD, or done first degree, you know, that type of blend. So people who came with all kinds of backgrounds. And that's the type of culture that we want to build. Because if you go to any university anywhere in the world, like my Fordham or Yale or Cambridge or any of the big universities, you would find that many of them, and that's the case in Legon too, many of them started in that university. And so there's a sense of ownership and a sense of pride and a sense of, should I say, local patriotism, collegiate patriotism in the university. And I think that we are building that. So let this continue. Woe betides the next group who fail to continue this. Woe betides them. This tradition should continue. And on that,
thank you, Prof. Please, before you assume your seat, Prof. Chair, please just keep standing for us. We have a little presentation to do to you, and we call Professor Rahim Kolowari to do that on our behalf.
Reverend Father Professor.
Oh, let's clap for our Reverend Father, very Reverend Father.
Motivating students
Professor
here.
PhD. We want to say we are very grateful
And telling them
for
that
all the
tomorrow
assistance
they
and
are
all
the
for,
tomorrows
the,
of
all the
this
beautiful
great
things you do
university,
to us. We say God
and
bless
that
you.
they should
And GASAC is
endeavor
grateful. Thank you, sir.
to go higher in education so that tomorrow, when the current crop of leaders in UW are not there, they will
Okay,
be
so
able
we also
to
acknowledge
stand
the
in.
presence of Francis Xavier Adams, our former GASAC president, my predecessor. He's here with us, currently on PhD. Boss, we say welcome, and then we welcome UCC. GASAC president is also here. We say welcome.
So the
And to
program
all
will
the
soon be
colleagues
coming
we
to an
failed
end.
to
And
acknowledge,
please remember,
especially
it's
our
the
own
fifth
brother,
International
Ebony
Multi-Disciplinary
Emmanuel Owusu is
Conference
also here with
of
us.
postgraduate
We acknowledge
students
you
here at the
for all
University
the
of
beautiful
Education,
things
Winneba.
we did
It's on
together.
the
So,
quality education
from my
in the midst
own
of COVID-19 pandemic,
Reverend Father,
the
very
role
Reverend, to
of the
say he's
postgraduate
very
student
Fordham,
is
my
under the
own UUW.
distinguished chairmanship
Also want to show
of Reverend
gratitude
Father
to everyone who
Professor
came.
Anthony Afro-Bruni,
We say thank
the
you.
Vice Chancellor
God
here
richly bless
in
you.
UUW.
For the time alone, we say
Already
we
we've had some
appreciate
people present
and
at
would
the
want to say
conference.
once again,
Dr.
we are grateful.
Senator Ajman
We would want to
Rawlings,
call
the
on the
keynote
university
speaker,
chaplain
has
to
already
give us
presented,
the
and she has
closing
to take
prayer.
leave of us as she has an urgent national assignment
Shall we rise up for the closing
to
prayer,
perform
please?
in WAM. The program is gradually coming to an end, and after the university chaplain
Almighty
has said
God,
the prayer, the
everlasting,
program closes
the merciful one,
for today.
when we gathered, we remembered you, we invited you, and you did respond. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for an enlightenment that shows that this institution is going far, and the future is so bright that our graduate students can take up the mantle even after us. Father, I thank you for this knowledge and understanding that has come as a result of our interactions today. May you take us all the way to our various places. Let us be reflective and honor those who are to be honored, that our days will be long. We thank you for our traveling mercies. We thank you for our journeys home. But above all, we thank you for our lives, even as university graduate students and presenters, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please, before we exit,
Day of the two-day International Multidisciplinary Conference of the postgraduate students of the University of Education, Winneba, has come to an end. The program continues tomorrow with other presentations by speakers. Dr. Senator Ajman Rawlings, the keynote speaker, presented, and she commended UW highly for being the number
please a
one
quick
teacher
announcement.
education
For our
in the
guests,
country.
we are receiving you
that,
at the FPU
teacher
Executive
education
Lounge.
is for deep
And then for all
critical
senior members,
thinking,
please, we are
and
hosting
those
you
who pass
at the
through
convocation lounge
education
here. Please
at the
do make
tertiary
time
level
and
are
pass through
expected,
for us.
or
We are
whoever
very
passed
grateful.
through education
Thank you
is
very much.
expected to
Participants are
contribute
waiting behind
significantly
for a quick
to
announcement and
national
facilitators as well.
development.
Thank you, sirs. We are
Dr.
grateful.
Senator Rawlings made it clear that there seems to be a gap between socialization and education which needs to be addressed. The program is the 5th International Multi-Disciplinary Conference of Postgraduate Students of the University of Education, WINNEBA. It has come to an end here at the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center at the University of Education. We shall bring part. The program was patronized by students here at the university. Tomorrow, it is expected that Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Omar, the First Lady of State in the Republic of Nigeria, will also present an address. The conference is on the theme Quality Education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, the role of the postgraduate student. This has been a live coverage that came to you from the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center here at the North Campus of the University of Education, WINNEBA. We came to you on Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM, also on Facebook at Radio WINNEBA 98.3 FM. Tomorrow, we'll come your way again here from the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center here at the North Campus. The program was brought to you by a team led by King Batuka, our senior technician, our technician, Sampana, our cameraman, and DJ Maestro, who is also our cameraman. I am Kwame Anamat. So we meet again. Bye for now.